earlier now than it was when we were kids.
A lot of my twisted humor comes from...
Wasn't
Adult
Futurama on Adult Swim?
I mean, those all came later. Like, Tim and Eric were on Adult Swim, and Adult Swim had a lot
Beavis
more,
and Butthead.
like Robot Chicken.
I'm just kidding. Beavis and Butthead were...
Beavis and Butthead were MTV.
Say Beavis and Butthead was made by the person that made King of the Hill.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah, I thought I just remember coming in. Danny would be watching either that or you'd be watching, what was it, Darla? Or what was it?
Daria.
Daria. And I didn't understand any of it as a kid, but now I probably do.
It's super like Gen X angst cartoon.
We talked about Danny being an emo last week.
I think the more that I thought about it, the more I
Or like
was like
Recess.
Recess was good.
Recess was good. Kids Next Door. Dexter's
See, we're
Lab.
getting it after Danny's era.
Yeah, that is a little after.
No, it was. I mean, Dexter's Lab was pretty early.
I watched Dexter's Lab, and I was a teenager watching Dexter's Lab because.
Do you know what were my favorite cartoons? I even remember the channel. 176 was Cartoon Network. 175 was Boomerang.
Yeah.
If
we had paid for it or accidentally got the trial run that lasted a little longer and
Yeah.
Mom and Dad didn't find out until
And
later.
so I would watch like the original Scooby-Doo's and...
Well, 174 was Disney Channel.
Yep.
And 173 was usually Disney Kids.
Yep. And then 171 and 170 were Nickelodeon.
Yep.
That's crazy. All right,
180 was Discovery
we got to get
Channel.
this going.
Do we?
Because if not, I've got to cut out a lot of this.
120 was History Channel.
122 was Sci-Fi. Okay.
121 was also History too.
Welcome to the Twaddling Along Podcast, the show where we talk about inane things like the random channels that we remember from our childhood.
Dish.
On Dish Network.
Which is now being bought by DirecTV.
I am your host, Dan McBride, here with my brothers and co-host Joshua. What's up? And Jacob. This week on the Twaddling Along Podcast, we are delving into the paranormal, the channel 122 of the podcast world, the Sci-Fi channel.
Sci-Fi.
The 122. Sci-Fi. Paranormal. It's paranormal this week. And guess who gets it? It's Josh.
Yeah, buddy.
He's very excited.
I am really
very
excited. Are you guys ready for this?
No.
I am so excited.
You guys know what the topic is, but I'm going to set this up so perfectly.
Set it up.
Okay, here we go.
Ready?
Once upon a time, I used to watch shows at my grandparents' house. You guys would too.
Often.
And there was this show, a movie, that we didn't know what it was, but it had guys with swords and stuff, and so we would go put it on because my cousins and I thought,
Nice.
we're young dudes. And there would be a part...
Yeah, young dudes.
We're young dudes,
Young-
man.
We're cool, bro.
After we got off the surf, man.
And there was a part where someone was pulling a cart, per se. And people were throwing bodies into that cart.
Bring out your dad.
And saying, bring out your dad. Bring out your dad. And a guy brings a guy out, puts him in. I'm not dead yet. Slams his head with a shovel. They continue. And then some Christian monks, Catholic monks, whoever,
Pie Jesu Domine es Requiem.
Don't get it wrong, Josh.
Oreo.
You have an expert here.
Listen,
So
it's
we
my favorite movie.
are talking about
Monty
Monty
Python.
Python, the Holy Grail.
not Monty Python, but what Monty Python kind of talked about.
For a very, very
King
brief
Arthur.
second.
Nope. We're talking about something that came during the Black Death.
The plague.
The death itself. And the thing that
The
scared...
death itself.
Do you know what the Black Plague did? Death.
Black Death.
Do you know,
brought about
do you
the
know
most
what was?
scary
Do you know what
thing
was around before the Black Plague?
Death.
No, but the personification of death.
Oh.
Ooh.
The end. That's all I got. I just wrote the whole script.
So you sure did, but you didn't actually name what we're talking about
No,
today.
we are talking about what came up in the European countries during the Black Death, known as the Grim Reaper.
Oh.
Do you know that he has a Jamaican accent and follows 2 kids around because he lost a game
Wrong.
of Limbo?
Hey, my man.
That wasn't even close. That was pathetically.
That was pretty bad,
not-
Josh.
I'm sorry.
That was.
That's why I just right at the beginning.
Not good.
In order to prep for this, I watched the Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy,
That is a good
which
cartoon.
is a good cartoon.
Yep. But the reason that we're talking about the Grim Reaper is for no particular reason at all.
Was there a reason behind
Is
this?
there a reason?
Josh was just like, I want to talk
Nope.
about the Grim Reaper.
Yeah, I literally just came up with it. But the first mention of the Grim Reaper was during the Black Death to help people cope, quote unquote, with death because it was happening so rapidly.
You know, it's really kind of crazy because when I started looking into this, the idea of even personifying death, it's like old.
Yeah.
Like there's been a personification of death pretty much in every major civilization going straight down the line. I mean, even Christianity, in the Christianity world, we personify death.
Yeah. In
You know,
the
it's-
Bible itself. I
Yeah,
mean, it's one of the 4 horsemen.
Yep.
There's the 4 horsemen, but there's also the angel of death
Angel of
that's
death.
talked about in the Old
Moses
Testament.
Exodus,
and yeah.
And so this goes back.
Moses and Exodus are part of the same story.
Moses and the
Yeah,
Exodus.
his
Moses, Exodus,
And you know, like
there's a
Genesis.
Pharaoh.
Unless you've heard of the Pearl of Great Price, then by all means, go and look that up.
But yeah, so the Grim Reaper kind of stems from religion with the Black Death going on, and they come up with this personification of this weird-looking person, a skeleton, with a big scythe, and that's what they ended up using, and what has become the most popular personification of death in Western countries.
Which is kind of weird. Where did the scythe come from?
The scythe. Oh,
It
see,
became a very popular instrument during that time due to the fact that it was more efficient than a sickle. And it was able to reap.
Isn't it? It's just a giant sickle.
Yeah, but they found that it was really difficult for smaller individuals to use, so they had to have larger individuals use it too. And they could go through and reap much field much faster.
Much filled.
Much field.
yeah, because you have to. So I'm
I
going to
have-
go on a history rant.
What's
the Black
the-
Death.
Oh, why do you have to go on history?
What's the post of reaped?
I repped it.
I've repped a field.
What have you done? I
I have reapified.
I have post reaped.
But anyway, the Black Death was going on, and a third of the world's population, not just Europe, this came out recently, a third of the world's population was dying and or would be dead by the end of this crazy plague.
It's kind of interesting when they talk about, they say that it actually even could have been up to 75%.
Yeah, in some areas.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, do you know where it came from?
Where?
Attila the Hun's march west
Really?
is how it actually spread as quickly as it did.
Daggum Attila.
So because they had plundered basically everything, a lot of the rats were did come on ships and stuff, but they were also pushed from the middle of nowhere, Siberia, the Ural Mountains and stuff, westward into Europe and other places such as Asia and Africa.
It's
and
quite
stuff.
the migration.
So is that, I mean, when you say that, does that mean like that the Huns themselves already had the personification of death, this cloaked figure, or it was more, or you're saying the Black Death
Black
itself?
Death. Yep, Black Death
came
itself.
from-
The Angel of Death came, the first painting was in 1460. So it was several years after the Black Death, about 100 years or so. But it's the first painting of this almost zombified, he's not necessarily a skeleton, but zombified person with a scythe that shows them going through and cutting down the European population.
Interesting.
Yeah. So,
Good old art. The Grim Reaper. You know what's funny though? So here we have probably people just coping with pain, anguish, lost life. They're painting something that's allegorical. Isn't it weird how an allegorical symbol can creep into real life? Because there are people legitimately out there who have claimed to see this personification of death multiple times. I mean, you can actually go online and look up like stories of the Grim Reaper, and it's not like just a
short
few.
list.
There's tons of people and worldwide, culture wide, where people are saying, "Oh no, I'm seeing this dark man in a cloak, or you can't see his face, or yada yada yada," and it's, you know, they're seeing it.
Yeah, it's very interesting because at the beginning it was just something to try to explain.
Well, and it didn't even have a cloak, right? Has anybody looked at this art?
Yeah, the art, he was literally wearing a ripped cloth.
It was just like tattered
and
clothing.
a lot of art, they had a series of skeletons dancing with the living.
Yeah.
Oh.
So Spooky Scary Skeleton,
Spooky
the
scary
cartoon
skeleton.
that was made back really early, was...
Oh, you're talking about the Disney one. Oh, okay.
That one was literally a depiction of the Grim Reaper
Crazy.
during that time.
There's some, I know it doesn't come straight out and say it, but I know that Dickens, in the Christmas story, the Ghosts of Christmas Past, is supposed to be
the Grim Reaper.
It's hinted that it's supposed to be some kind of Grim Reaper kind of person, right?
Mm-hmm.
Jake's busy typing over there. He's deep in thought.
Well, it's kind of fun because the one that kind of caught my eye is Ankou. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. It's Ankou.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the personification of death in like Celtic lore.
Oh, interesting.
And it's similar, but what it is this individual is either a skeleton or sometimes he just is kind of an older gentleman, but he has a scythe and he rides a cart or pushes a cart around to gather the dead.
Hence Monty Python.
The artwork,
Bring out your dead.
the artwork that portrays him is kind of cool when you look at it. So
that is crazy. So what's up with the scythe? I want to go back to that because the Grim Reaper isn't the only thing that carries around the. Is it a scythe or is it a sickle?
It is a scythe.
Well, what's interesting is the Father Time, the God of Time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what I was going to bring up. Yeah, he also carries it.
Yeah, and I wonder if that was kind of put together.
Indicative of like the death of a year or something, or
I'm going to type why the scythe.
Yeah, so here's a little passage that kind of describes. So the scythe was a large knife that could reap a lot of plants all at once. And so it says the tool symbolizes the removal of human souls from their bodies in huge numbers, with the analogy being to a farmer cutting through large swaths of grain crops during harvest.
Oh, which makes sense. Black Death, large swipes going through.
Yep, exactly.
Interesting.
And so that's kind of where the scythe comes. But there is talk that it was personified like that earlier than the Black Death, but it became a popular thing to kind of relate to during the Black Death time. So, because even let's even go back even further. Let's go back to Greek deities.
Oh,
Kronos, god of time, as we just talked about, he had a sickle or scythe as well, and also Thanatos, the Greek god of death, also were sometimes seen holding a sickle or a scythe.
really?
Yeah.
Or a sword.
Sometimes
a spear.
In other words, any kind of weapon.
They couldn't make up their mind.
They were just like, let's see, today it's a spoon.
They opened up their little kitchen drawer and went,
Little fork, pitchfork.
Oh, crap. Poseidon took my fork.
I'm using a mandolin.
I just said Poseidon.
Well, maybe he carried around a sickle too.
He had
Trident?
A trident.
Oh, I almost said he had a Poseidon.
He had Poseidon.
Poseidon.
So, the interesting thing is do you know what actually made the Grim Reaper really popular? Edgar Allan Poe.
Ooh, do tell.
Hey, we're related.
Edgar Allan Poe had...
Wow, let's try that. Edgar Allan Poe.
One more time.
Sorry. My
enunciation.
One of my heroes, David Attenborough, just came out with his Oceans documentary.
And you're
Edgar Allan Poe.
I was saying you're trying to copy it and just mixing up the words horribly. Is that what it is?
Poe, Edgar Allan. No, Edgar Allan Poe had several short stories that were, I don't want to say distributed. I would say widely dispersed among the population that mentioned the Grim Reaper as death.
Really?
Yep. And so that's where European and also Americans kind of became fascinated with this figure. And like you said earlier, Charles Dickens, the silent and wearing a black cloak that conceals its whole face and body, with only visible body part being a single gesturing hand. A ghost of Christmas future.
Interesting. You guys want to hear a story about meeting a Grim Reaper?
Yeah.
Go for it. It was me.
This starts out, I've never shared this story online, though I'm curious to others
Don't you love when that?
who may have had similar
I have
experiences.
never shared this story with anyone, but I thought I'd make everyone know about it now.
I remember the night so vividly. Living in South London at the time, I was about 8 years old playing Gran Turismo on the PlayStation 2.
So you know.
Just a little hint for everybody. Good description is good. I had no need to know that they were playing Gran Turismo. Sorry. Waiting for my dad to come home and join me. He would normally get home from work just after dark. I heard a knock on the door, and I paused the game, walk out to the hallway. We had 2 front doors. In between the doors, there was an area to take your shoes off and a light above. The light above would cast a shadow onto the door of anyone standing in the little area. Now, my dad had long hair, so I could clearly see the shadow of what looked like long hair. But another shadow next to him. I remember seeing the shadow bobbing up and down slightly and was curious as I walked towards the door to open. Assuming it was my dad coming home, I just opened the door. Directly in my line of sight, I see the bones of a hand holding on to a wooden stick. In my peripheral, I can see a basket that is empty, but floating and bobbing up and down just below his waist level. He is wearing a purely black robe, and I start looking from his hand to his face. The face was hooded with absolute darkness. You could not see a single thing under the hood. Just off to the side and above his head, I could see the metal scythe blade. I stood there paralyzed, staring at the dark where the face would be, and heard a very deep voice say, "Hello." I screamed and slammed the door and shut and started running upstairs. My mom and other siblings heard and came running down. I was crying, barely able to say a word, but eventually I told them I had seen a Grim Reaper. My eldest brother went out into the street trying to look for anyone wearing a Grim Reaper costume. A few neighbors were out on the streets as they heard me scream. No one saw anyone on the street walking around. For the next year, I had nightmares every night of the Grim Reaper murdering and cutting up my entire family and placing them in the bobbing basket while I would hide underneath my blanket in the lounge room.
That guy needs to stop playing video games.
That's what I said.
I was kind of hoping for the deep voice to go trick or treat.
I was hoping that it would say, "Is it me you're looking for?"
Is it me you're looking for?
Hello. Mom, turn that song off. That's interesting. I'm curious.
I would want to know the background. Like, did he have an understanding of what the Grim Reaper was?
Yeah, I mean, like at 8
Because it
years
sounds
old,
like he did.
let's say PlayStation 2 Gran Turismo. So that would probably put him at 8 years old. Late 20s right now, you would say maybe.
Because the
Probably,
PlayStation 2 came out in what, 2001?
yeah. So probably
I'm a
around
nerd.
Josh's age, I would
Or is it
say.
2000?
Yeah, because
No, PlayStation 1 came out before. I was thinking PlayStation 2. I'm sorry. PlayStation 1 was in the 90s.
Oh, yeah.
94
Yeah.
is when that came out.
Yeah, but the PlayStation
He's your age,
2.
Danny. It was on the PlayStation
It was the
2?
PlayStation 2.
okay,
I think that was 2000.
Yeah, that was pretty early. So I'd say almost probably Jake's age.
So maybe.
Yeah.
So here's my question then.
2000.
Is it possible that, like,
Gran
we were
Turismo.
kind of laughing and joking about the grim adventures of
Billy
and
Billy
Mandy.
and Mandy? Like, could that be an influence and the kid just had like a waking nightmare?
I mean, and that's very possible. I loved the Grim Reaper. And if you guys remember, I dressed up
as
like
him
the Grim Reaper
forever.
like 3 or 4 years in
You
a row.
did.
Because I thought it was just so cool. I didn't have the skull mask. I liked the idea of having the cloaked face without the...
Without the skull showing.
Yeah.
Well, you go scare kids.
I did until I scared a little neighbor boy. He was like 3 years old, and then I felt really bad, and I never did it again. But my friend and I, he would dress up like a ring wraith. And so what we'd do is we'd go hang out, and he had a sword. Like, he had an actual sword that his dad owned. And so we would like be hanging out, and then you'd have the teenager come around and you'd walk slowly out and turn towards them. And we got a few scares.
Good.
I'm really surprised we didn't get beat up.
By like parents or what? Older brothers?
The Polynesians.
The thing is they probably all knew who you were.
Well, like, it's Jake.
That's probably I was a pudgy kid, so it's like that Grim Reaper's pudgy. Oh, Jake.
Oh, poor Jake.
That Grim Reaper had a gut.
It was like the fat Buddha instead of the skinny Buddha.
People wanted to poke my tummy.
You guys want to hear another story?
Yes.
Yeah.
So this is also 9 or 10. They posted it a year ago, and they said 15 years ago they were 9 or 10. So right now they are looking at about 25 years old.
I never told anyone this story before.
When I was about 9 or 10, I think I saw the Grim Reaper. I was outside playing with 2 of my friends. It was a gloomy sort of day. We lived in a small suburban community, so we had plenty of neighbors around us. We were walking towards my friend's house while in the middle of the road. We were young and stupid. Young and stupid.
The end.
Though at the time, there was hardly any cars on the road. As we're walking along, I can see through a few tree branches the other side of the road, where I see a figure in black robe with what I believe to be a walking stick hobbling along the road. I'm staring at this figure moving across the road, and everything goes quiet. I couldn't hear anything at all. All of a sudden,
Dang,
my
kids.
one friend yanks me out of the way of the speeding car that was coming from behind us. Apparently, both of them were screaming at me to move, but I couldn't hear them. After the car sped past, I looked over, and the figure I thought I saw was gone. They keep saying I saw. That's what keeps tripping me up. I asked my friend if they saw it, and they said no one was there. I was a bit freaked out, but continued on to my friend's house, told his dad about it, and he said it was probably the way the branches between the trees moved, and it was just in my imagination. Now, this is where I think this is just either a huge coincidence or something freaky. Turns out the neighbor who was driving the car at the time was drunk. He got into an accident, a minor accident, no serious injuries, and was arrested. The guy was speeding. I believe my friend literally saved my life. If he hit me, I would have died. Part of me thinks maybe I was supposed to. It seems too weird of a coincidence. Since then, I've never seen the figure again, but I don't believe in my life was ever in danger again. I was talking to my mom about this today. While she says it's weird, she still thinks it's just my imagination.
Here's my thought. And this is me being pessimistic. I'm going to be Jake today.
Hey, Jake Gordy is Jake. Does that mean I need to be believing?
The Grim Reaper is in the spiritual realm.
Right.
Why the heck does he have bones?
I don't know.
Why the heck is he hobbling? I would be floating, and that's it. I just would be floating.
And here's another thing. So the Grim Reaper and other personifications of death usually come from very religious people.
Sometimes.
Or like groups of people that have beliefs.
Sure. It's like the idea of the soul.
Yeah.
We can say that.
Why in the world, especially if you're Christian Europe, everyone went to church. The church kind of controlled Europe at the time, the Catholics.
Sure.
Why in the world would you think that basically darkness itself was coming to collect your soul?
Well, because I think that's what was taught. So in early Christian history, I was actually just reading this. A lot of people combine the idea of the devil with death.
Oh.
So it wasn't like it was a distinct feature. There wasn't one or the other. Like there, in some of like the early Christian scriptures, it's actually named Abaddon, which is the individual entity.
Abaddon.
Which is kind of it's like it's in Revelations. A king, the angel of the bottomless pit, whose name in Hebrew is Abaddon, and in Greek is Apollyon, in Latin extreminus. They link that literally with the devil.
Interesting.
In that kind of thing. And so they say that this personification is actually like a fallen angel.
Interesting.
So, I mean, I can see it. Judaism has, I mean, if you ever look up the early Judaic kind of personification of death, this the angel of death.
Azrael.
They have some really, really deep lore about the destroying angel.
And that's what I kind of wanted to bring up was the contrast between near-death experiences today and near-death experiences hundreds, if not thousands of years ago.
Sure.
Thousands of years ago, it was, this bone guy with black hood and stuff coming to collect your soul, reap you. And today it's a lot, don't go towards the light, kind of thing. It's complete contrast between the two, which I think is fascinating.
Well, I think that I think it's just kind of a fundamental thing that people want companionship at the end. And so maybe it's kind of a comforting thing that there is someone there to lead you into the afterlife, to kind of guide you away. And that what we see as the personification of death and the Grim Reaper as being a scary thing, more than likely they didn't. Like they didn't actually see it that way. I mean, the dancing skeletons I was just barely reading weren't actually meant to be some horrible, macabre thing. It was actually supposed to be kind of like, no, the dead around you are happy. It is okay.
And that's the thing is skeletons were not associated with creepy things.
No.
A lot of cathedrals, or some cathedrals in Europe and other places, are built out of the bones of the dead and worshipped. They worship their dead in many different cultures. And so skeletons were seen as almost a holy relic, per se. And so it gives the Grim Reaper a whole different meaning.
Well, I mean, even if you think about the Christmas Carol, and like the way that the Christmas Carol is told, specifically like in the book, and I think that sometimes media doesn't do it justice, but the Ghost of Christmas or the Ghost of Christmas Future isn't supposed to be a bad guy.
No, he just reveals.
He's showing Scrooge the event, or like what's going to happen to him. Like that's all he is. He's not some kind of evil doer. He's not some kind of like wickedness. It's just a person showing the path forward.
Does he have hunger and thirst, or the two kids that are creepy as?
Oh, I can't remember.
Or was that Christmas
I
present?
think that was Christmas Present.
That was towards the very end. Christmas Present showed off.
Yeah, where he like opened his robes and there was
the two kids that were like hunger and disease or something like that.
I want to say they were the sins of man that caused the children to be that way. I can't remember what they are.
I can't remember. But yeah, so I would think the Christmas Present would be creepier than the
ignorance and want.
There you go.
Ignorance and want.
See, I like the Muppet one because whenever Scrooge is being guided, he not only points, but he then puts his arm behind Scrooge and just kind of guides him.
And gently pushes him forward. You don't like Pete?
I love Pete, mostly because he's smoking a cigar. While yours, Ebenezer, the richest man in the cemetery. I am a cartoon nerd. Okay. I love the idea. Like when I was reading through this, I love the idea of the comforting guide. That he's not there to scare you. He's there to guide you. Kind of like, the river Styx.
Yeah.
You have the guy in the boat. Now he has to be paid, but he's a guide across the river Styx to something else. So
Charon. That's his name. By the way, I just barely looked it up. It's not something I know off the top of my head.
Have you guys seen oh my gosh, I just forgot the name of the show. Dean and Sam.
Supernatural? Supernatural.
I never got into that.
Death is in Supernatural.
He is.
And that's how I picture kind of the Grim Reaper. Maybe not so much a skeleton with a robe and scythe, but this old man who comes and is like,
he's just kind of frank about it.
It's your time. It's time to go. You're dead.
That
was a really good snap.
That was a good snap. Good job.
What other Grim Reapers do you guys know of in like media? I was trying to think. Obviously, Bill and Mandy, we talked about that. Norm Macdonald's
Family
death
Guy.
on Family, or being death on Family Guy.
And I actually looked this up. Do you know the Grim Reaper, other than Grim Reaper of Billy and Mandy, who he's a main character? Family Guy has the most references to Grim Reaper.
They have the Simpsons one where Homer gets the skeleton hand. And then he's ordered to kill Marge.
Oh, that's right.
So, and that one's kind of funny.
Merge.
Isn't that, I think in that one, it's because he doesn't kill anyone. Everyone's kind of immortal. And so like Jimmy the Snitch keeps getting shot, but nothing's happening.
Oh my gosh.
I'm trying to think because I mean, there's a lot of shows that.
I mean, they show
it.
death, but not like Grim Reaper.
Yeah.
Like I was trying to think. Like I know that. What's that one show that the now disgraced author put together?
Which disgraced Doctor?
Where he's Dream. What is that show?
Sandman?
Yeah, Sandman. Like death is in Sandman, but it's young goth girl.
Well, I mean, in the Marvel, it's personified as a woman.
Yeah, Lady Death.
But the thing
it's
that's
personified as Aubrey Plaza
in the newer,
yeah,
in the show. Spoilers, Danny. I haven't watched it yet.
You really haven't?
No.
I apologize, everybody. I'm
Good
sorry,
heavens.
everybody.
I don't even
Let's see.
know that Aubrey Plaza was in the Marvel Universe.
Yeah, she's in
Agatha.
Agatha.
All
I haven't
along.
watched Agatha.
What was I just saying?
I don't know. Sorry, did I derail you?
No, I can't remember because I was talking about Marvel.
Not to completely throw everyone off, but I just looked up the Grim Reaper in Britannica, and I scrolled down, and the next article is: Did Marie Antoinette really say "let them eat cake"?
Did she?
I don't know.
That's going to be something you're going to have
But
to learn
guess
in
what?
a history lesson.
Right after that, she had a Grim Reaper cut off her head.
Well, or something.
Ooh.
The guillotine. Ooh, I was actually listening. Speaking of something about the guillotine, I don't even know how I got onto it, but there was a podcast about the guillotine that was talking about whether or not people kept their senses after the guillotine.
Yeah, for how long?
I think it might have been lore.
It was. Yeah, because they talk about how the head would react
Yeah.
to things.
Like, and one person who was going to be put to death, like, put together things that he would do after his head was cut off to prove that he was still conscious, and he did do them or something. I can't remember.
Yeah, it was a
But it was
scientist.
pretty terrifying.
Well, I mean, you still have all your
The brainstem,
and everything like that. So, I mean, I could see it. It's not something I want to test out. So
It has been proven that what it is just muscle.
Muscle twitching.
Yep, muscle twitching. So some people would like close their eyes and like blink for a good 5 minutes after their head is cut off, but it was just because
the
that's
muscles.
a natural thing.
That would be creepy. I mean, it's kind of humorous when you see a chicken running around without a head, but
It is very creepy. The Death in Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey.
yeah.
I love Bill and Ted. I haven't watched that forever. Death in Harry Potter. Oh, that's something that we haven't talked about
Dementor.
because not the Dementor.
The one that's told
Death
in
itself.
the story of the
Yeah.
three brothers.
Oh,
The
that's
Three Brothers, yeah.
right.
That was
Where-
all about death.
The Deathly Hallows.
Mm-hmm.
Does he have a scythe? I don't think he does.
I don't know how much it was talked about in the book.
Yeah, I
I
don't
think
think-
the show kind of emphasized that it
But
was.
he had the cloak.
He did. I will tell you that in the video game, that he is shown as having a scythe.
The video game? You played the video game?
I did.
Wasn't that one bad?
No, it wasn't too bad. It was
I'll
okay.
say the first three were amazing.
No, it was actually pretty good. No, I'm talking about not the 7th book video game, the newest Hogwarts,
Oh.
Legacy?
the Legacy. Yeah,
I
Interesting.
have. I haven't played it yet. My wife has been playing that.
it was okay. I didn't play like I played to that point, but it was halfway decent. I liked Harry Potter. I grew up with it.
Harry Potter's one. It's funny. Harry Potter is like one that I would watch during Christmas, which is
It's
kind of weird.
like a Christmas show.
Yeah, because even though they had Christmas for just like a short moment, for some reason that just
It's like, what's the Christmas movie with Vin Diesel?
The Christmas movie with Vin Diesel.
No, or it's not Vin Diesel. Sorry.
now you really threw me off.
No, the bald guy.
the bald guy.
Yeah, he has
What in heaven's name are you talking
Alzheimer's now.
Oh,
about? Oh, are you talking about Die Hard?
Yes,
Bruce Willis?
I was
Yes,
about to say.
yeah.
You got Vin Diesel and Bruce Willis
They're
mixed
both
up?
bald, okay? They
Oh
both
my
play
gosh.
I mean-
He wasn't even bald
Yeah, I
in
say
the
he
first
wasn't for that one.
for
I know, but it's like Die Hard.
I've never watched. I only watched Die Hard with the guy that he was on the Mac commercials.
The Mac commercials?
Yeah, the
commercials?
Mac versus PC commercials.
Oh,
even
You
know.
guys don't
those
remember?
are-
It was like this.
Yeah, no, it was yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Okay, I'm glad someone knows.
Yeah, I got it. I got it.
No, but I also wanted to wrap up. If we're wrapping up,
Wait, we didn't talk about the greatest personification of death,
me.
Brad Pitt.
Oh, I meet Joe Black.
Meet Joe Black.
Yeah, that's a good one.
oh yeah, that's
That
right,
is an
because he follows the
excellent
old
show.
people. I've only seen clips. I haven't actually watched it.
Oh, I actually really like Meet Joe Black. It's
It's a good one. And
It
it
is
has
a good
Anthony
one.
Hopkins. Anthony
Yes.
Hopkins is good whatever he is.
As a serial killer.
Yeah, not in this one.
not in this one.
No, I know, but as a serial killer, he was the perfect
was.
serial
Are
killer.
you talking about Hannibal Lecter?
Yeah, and also the original Zorro.
In the original Zorro. Are you
I
talking
don't know
about
if
in the
you
movie? He was
say-
not the original
I don't think you
Zorro,
can call it
but
original,
but he was the first Zorro in that universe. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes.
That
The
was
train,
fantastic.
Anthony.
I liked him as
Banderas.
Odin. He was scary.
He was really good in Odin.
So, what other personifications of death are there in the world?
There's actually
A lot.
a lot.
What are some?
I mean, you have the Egyptians and Anubis.
And do you know what's funny is a lot of people in modern times see him as kind of like as we see the Grim Reaper, or a lot of people see the Grim Reaper where it's a bad thing to see Anubis. But if you actually look in Egyptian mythology, Anubis was a guide. He literally guided you to the afterlife.
Well, and he was completely emotionless.
Yeah. He
Like
weighed
he was
your
neither
heart.
good nor bad. He was just there as a judgment.
But a lot of people nowadays is like, oh, if you see Anubis, he's going to rip your heart out. I mean, he took your heart and weighed it against a feather, but like he was more of a guide to lead you to the afterlife
Sure.
than it was then, you know.
What the heck was that?
That was Anubis.
Is that what Anubis sounds like?
Yeah.
I mean, he's a jackal, not Jekyll.
Sounded like the blob
Dr.
from
Jekyll.
Left 4 Dead.
For example, Mummy.
Yes.
The armies of Anubis are all dogs or whatever.
Jackals.
Yeah,
Yes.
not true.
Probably not. Did you know that in most Latin American cultures,
De la
death is a
Muerte.
female?
And that's one thing I saw is that they're actually like towards the beginning, it was kind of like a female played big part in death.
Isn't that
Like a
interesting?
huge thing.
Why do you think that is? Women could bring life in and wife.
And women could take it.
That's
Yeah.
because men were stupid and the wife's like, you know what?
Santa Muerte.
It's the reason why. What is it? Let me look up here. I can't remember.
Santa Muerte.
Yeah, I mean, if you look, you're bringing up Latin America. Day of the Dead is huge.
Dia de la Muerte.
Yeah, so they are
Well,
very
and
much.
it's something I love that kind of culture because it kind of takes away the fear of death a little bit.
Yeah,
Like, and I can appreciate that. And I think that there's something, I think that the reason that we fear the Grim Reaper in nowadays and that it became such a big thing in the 17th and 1800s. I'm sorry, everybody. I apologize. The 17th and 18th
you don't see the Green Reaper
century-
right now, right?
Seriously. Hey, who's that guy in the corner? No, is because we kind of lost that connection with what death was.
And we introduced Halloween.
That's true.
Ooh. Here's another interesting one in South America. Saint or San La Muerta. Saint Death. Who's actually a venerated saint in Paraguay and Argentina. So an actual religious saint.
Ooh.
Saint Death. He restores love, good fortune, and this is his patronage, what he's a patron of. Restoring love, good fortune, gambling, protection against witchcraft, protection against imprisonment, inmates, prisoners, luck, good health, and vengeance.
He restores gambling.
No. He's just the patron of
He's
gambling.
the patron saint of gamblers.
He restores gambling. He hasn't made it to Utah yet. But yeah, they have in certain areas. Do you know how they have like the altars in their house with Mary
Yeah.
and Jesus and everything?
Yeah, the saint.
Sometimes they have the figure of San La Muerto right next to them.
That's really interesting. I bet the Catholic Church doesn't like that very much. Because that seems to me like it's more based off of like paganistic things.
And that's what it said is it's a mix of ancient South American native pagan beliefs and a mix of Christian.
Fairly common.
Yep. That's crazy. Now, Asia, I'd be interested to Asian personifications of death. Eastern culture.
Yeah, there's actually it's kind of interesting. I was just reading through a couple of them. India has one. It's called King Yama.
King Yama.
King Yama.
Isn't he a chubby blue guy?
He is.
So he's an avatar?
He rides a black buffalo and carries a rope lasso to lead the soul back to his home. And there's actually a ton of different forms of reapers, although some say there's only one who disguises himself as a small child. So he's got a bunch of little agents that also go around and they're grabbing the souls, and then they reside, and then they get reincarnated.
He is the first mortal who ever died.
That's a really interesting thought, isn't it?
That is who Yama is the first mortal who died. And now his job is to basically issue death.
Well, I think I can't remember, and I could be really wrong on this, but I thought I read that the angel of death, Azrael or whatever his name is considered one of the first children of Adam that died.
Really?
Yeah. It's not. I will have to look that up. I think I only heard it in a video, but I was kind of one of those. I was like, oh, interesting.
Now I have to find it.
Yeah, that is really interesting.
Slavic, Western Europe, definitely not there. Abrahamic.
Samael is considered the Talmudic text to be the member of the heavenly host with often grim and destructive duties. Samael's greatest roles in Jewish lore is as the main angel of death and head of the Satans.
Yeah, and there's quite a number of them. They're in the which I thought was really interesting because the Satans are actual angels. They're not.
Yeah, they're not like a separate thing.
But in some interpretations, Azrael, the angel of death, is associated with Adam, the first man. While not a direct child, and this one it says, Azrael is often linked to Adam's creation and the introduction of death into the world after Adam's fall.
So do you know what
See, and now we're getting into a lot of really deep Talmudic teachings. Because, I mean, that's where you also get like the teachings of Lilith, and you get the teachings of like some...
So he wasn't fully active until they left the Garden of Eden. So,
and that's the thing is, Azrael in Hebrew means help from God.
Interesting.
Do you guys remember in the Prince of Egypt that the angel of death was
breathing, it was the breathing was terrifying.
Well, the thing about it is, like, as a kid, been like, wow, that angel keeps breathing, but it was actually
it was the last breath.
Yeah.
It was like, whoa, yeah.
I just went and watched it at House Center Theater, the Prince of Egypt, and it was unsettling to watch, even on stage, that scene, because they would have spotlights, and then they would dim it to like a very small thing, and then they would turn off the light. It was creepy as heck.
That is.
I mean, it's a decent way to make you go, ah!
Yeah, Prince of Egypt is one that scared me, that part. And then the 10 Commandments, where the fog
takes them.
Comes in, and if the fog touches you, your firstborn dies.
It's just it's a crazy thing. Just thinking about, like, I don't know,
people's interpretation of death.
Yeah. Of death.
It's an unknown that we can't understand, and so we try to understand with what we
try to conceptualize something that we can A skeleton with a scythe? Oh, yeah.
That makes sense.
Totally can make sense.
Yeah, and what's crazy is that is so like deeply enriched in our culture now that like, you know, the stories that I were reading, people are claiming that they are seeing this in connection with death. And I don't, you know, it's one of those things like you don't want to just come right out and say, no, you're probably not seeing it. But the reality is that it's so much out there, it's out in the community, it's out in the culture that it's ingrained in us. So when our mind is going to something, when our mind is kind of latching on to that thought of death, that's the thing that kind of comes to our mind.
You better have a Jamaican accent.
The Grim Reaper.
The Grim Reaper. I want to know what Poe poems had the Grim Reaper in it.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because I was trying to go through it. Telltale Heart doesn't.
Telltale Heart.
Anytime I hear Poe, I just want to play Legend of Zelda.
Every time I hear Poe, I think of Kung Fu Panda.
Poe, our battle shall be
Legendary.
Oh, he literally just played a live action Poe in the Minecraft movie.
Yeah, he did.
What? Oh, yes. Jack Black. I was thinking. I thought you were talking about
What panda was in there?
Danny.
There was there was pandas.
There
in
was
the Minecraft
pandas.
movie.
Yeah. The Mask of the Red Death.
Oh, duh. Of course that is.
Yeah.
What am I thinking?
what?
The Mask of the Red Death. It's a Poe story about rich people who lock themselves away and are just gluttonous, and like they're having this huge gigantic party because they've escaped the disease outside, and it's literally like painted as like the most decadent, depraved thing ever. And all of a sudden, as the clock strikes a certain time, a skeletal figure emerges from like one of the grandfather clocks and gets everybody sick and they die.
It's like The Sims.
And
It's like this.
do you want me to be honest? Do you realize that this poem is written after a possibly true story?
No kidding.
There was a royal in Europe who thought that they had escaped. They had locked the castle, kept all their family together, and like locked everyone out and then celebrated. But what they didn't realize, it was the rats, and the rats were in their kitchen, and all of them got it. And so when they came to the royal afterwards, their bodies were like decomposed and just
man.
because no one could get in. And so finally when they went in, it was just horror.
You.
I love
Bring out your dad.
Poe stuff.
Dude, that's creepy.
I do.
You know, Jake's artwork last week, I think really...
I think that the more that we're talking, the more I'm realizing...
You're an emu.
I'm an emu. Maybe I was a little bit more goth there for a while, but man... Because I for the longest time had the whole...
You had the
Raven.
skeletons and the raven.
Well, I had the Raven memorized. I don't think I could do it anymore, but...
Quote the raven evermore. Do you know which one of his poems scared me? It was the eye one. Where the lady goes and checks on the person every night and their eyes fake.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that
one
was...
scared me.
The Cask of Amontillado.
See, and
is one
I
of my
never
favorites.
read it.
Really?
Do you guys remember the Time Squad, though? The cartoon Time Squad?
No.
They go back in time and he's the super flamboyant, happy person, and they accidentally broke something and drove him mad, and so he started telling things. Oh, that was a good show.
I don't even know what that show is.
It was a Cartoon Network one, too. It only
Really?
lasted like one season, but it was really
That
fun.
sounds like
Time
Doctor
Squad.
Who. Doctor Who went back and showed, was it
Vincent Van Gogh?
Vincent Van Gogh? It was one of the saddest shows ever.
What are you talking about? It was great.
It was great. He cried.
Back
But anyway,
to The Sims.
the Sims Grim Reaper.
The Sims Grim Reaper always came out, and I always laughed because they would come and do it, and you could go up and beg for someone's life.
yeah, or bargain, or
And
pay them
yep.
off in later ones.
Can I just, I would picture myself struggling a little bit to find a good game that maybe I could beat the Grim Reaper at, and I thought, you know what? I could probably do it at checkers. We'll just be sitting there playing checkers together and hoping for the best.
And Sims.
And the only reason I thought about that is I think that's in Animaniacs.
that he beats the checker.
I think I have a problem.
I think, Jake, that what we're finding is you might be a connoisseur of
I
old
compare
cartoons.
everything to cartoons.
You really do.
Was that
You
your
could-
escape?
You could write a history book on it.
I guess it was an escape, and it was also just, mindless. I didn't have to think too hard. I could just laugh.
Oh, that's interesting.
The problem is I still do it. So, so here I am, and my kids are like, Dad, what should we watch? And I'm like, let's watch a cartoon.
Dad, can we watch like sports? No! You'll sit and you'll watch
my son's
Billy and
son's
Mandy.
into basketball, and there's some basketball stuff available on Disney Plus, and he's like, can we watch that? I'm like, no.
Jake's killing their...
We're watching Phineas and Ferb.
They're well-rounded.
You're going to love this.
We're watching Goof Troop.
So,
Bluey.
the Grim Reaper. How would you guys react? If the let's say there was a lightning strike on Mom and Dad's house. We're all next to lights. It comes through the light, zaps us, and the Grim Reaper is standing here.
Wow, that's a really quick way to just randomly die.
Well, I had to think something.
So if the Grim Reaper stands before me.
Yep.
Is it like the traditional Grim Reaper?
Yep. Skeleton, black robe, scythe.
Well, I'd probably let out an expletive. A very loud
I just realized
one.
Do you know how, like, when people die, they usually, like, poop their pants?
Yes.
It's probably because they see the Grim Reaper and they just poop.
Josh, we almost made it through this entire podcast.
I had
It
to throw in
was
something.
so close.
I had to throw in something.
We were getting philosophical near the end.
Thinking.
But anyway,
were
back
thinking.
to how would you guys react?
I'd poop my pants.
Me too. Do you know what I would do?
No, I don't know. I don't know how I would feel. It would definitely be a change of what I expect.
Yeah.
Because that is not what I expect when I die and go to the other side. I don't. And then my second thought would be like, because my belief is that, I want to be met by family members.
Yeah.
My first thought would be like, okay,
What family
which
member is-
family member is making this? And then I would go through and I would immediately pick several and go, okay, so which one are you? Try to pull the robe off of
You
them.
didn't eat enough.
Then you'd be like, Grandma.
Grandma.
No, what you'd see is they would drop the scythe on their pinky toe and you'd be like, Dad left. You'd be like, hey.
Okay.
Jake, how about you?
First, I would challenge him to a game of limbo. According to cartoons, that's a good way to beat him. Either that or checkers. Second, he's made of bones. What is he going to do? I'm just going to take his head and run with it. So, and then I'm going to have an angry, disheaded person. I'm going to have an angry, headless person. Skeleton.
A disheaded.
Disheaded.
That person is non-headed.
My English is spectacular. But you run with it, and then it's one of those things where you kick him at the knees. What is he going to do? He's going to collapse.
Run. Okay, so let's take death out of the equation. Let's just say that you're like wandering down the road, and you see like a Grim Reaper kind of creature that's like
pull out my handgun and shoot him.
Josh is just blasting away kids on Halloween. Trick or treat. Ah!
It's going to be like the Stewie.
Yeah, Josh is on the evening news again. I don't know why I said again. Sorry, Josh.
It wouldn't be my first time. Let's see. I don't know.
Kick him at the knees and run away. If it's a child, he'll be fine.
Well, first off, I don't walk outside. I drive, so that means I'm in my car. So I
in the immortal words of Jake, why go outside?
Yeah, it would be like
that's exactly right.
and be like, ooh,
He's outside, I'm inside. I yell out the window, "Get off my lawn!"
No, but really, like, how would you like seeing something that you are not accustomed to seeing? How do you react? Taking like the jokes out of it, like what?
I would
What
probably
would you do?
scream like a little girl.
Taking the joke out of it, I would make a joke of it to make it
That's
sense.
true. That's probably true.
You know me.
You'd be like our dad and just like, well, if you want to walk on that side of the street, you do that, and I'll walk on this side of the street. They'll like have a full conversation.
I think I would get mad.
You can.
I would. That's kind of my first natural inclination for something that's
How
weird.
dare you
Show up, you
Who do you think you are?
put my preconceived notions to test?
No,
Well, it's like-
do you know what I would do? I'd raise my right arm in a square. Be gone, son!
That's probably true.
Run over to him, put your hand on his forehead, be gone!
And then it just you do a thrust, but then you realize that his rib cage is there and you just reach right through him.
I always find it fascinating. So I used to watch those like clown encounters. You know?
Yeah.
Someone would dress up on the clown as a scary clown and like meet people out. And I was really surprised that there wasn't more people that just got mad and like just punched the guy.
My thing is, if he's going to act crazy, you just need to act more crazy.
I was gonna say,
you look at him and you go, I found my best friend. Run again. I don't think he's going to make it.
That is true.
That's just like when the robber comes into the house.
Strip
welcome.
The last guy that came in tasted real good.
I think
Danny, did you say strip naked?
there's a comedian that says like if a robber robs your or if someone comes to your house, you just get butt naked and you come and just stand there and like stare at the guy, and it's gonna unnerve him enough that they're going to.
What do you want to take?
Except in my case, it wouldn't unnerve him. He would just go, "Oh, you poor man."
They'd be like, "Oh my!"
What is
for me? It would be like, how did they get a whale inside this house?
What has the world done to you? You putting my stuff back. I'm so sorry. I understand. This is just
this is all compensating, isn't it?
here. I'm gonna leave a $10 bill here. You go ahead. Get yourself a gym membership.
I had.
I almost just said something so inappropriate. Moving on.
I say there was one time I woke up. And it was 2:00 in the morning, and my daughter was still a baby, so she was crying, and so I grabbed her, was rocking her, decided to go downstairs, walking around, and while I was walking, I noticed that there was a light on in our basement, and I had turned that stupid thing off, and I double checked it, and it was one of those moments that's like, all right, what do I do?
Set the baby down.
Well, and that's one of those things where it's like I could be a man. Or
go get my wife.
I could be
Julie.
Jake. Well, that's the thing. I went and got Julie, and I said, "Okay, you need to hold the baby." And then I like walked outside and was like looking through my basement window, laying down. Talk about like if anyone was looking over, they're just seeing me. I'm just laying down, looking through my window, just seeing if there's any movement. So I finally called the cops.
You
just
did?
because it spooked me pretty good.
Oh,
and they came over to the house. And they walked down, they hollered down, anyone down there? And they walked down, and there was nothing. And so I was quite embarrassed. But it was one of those moments where it's like, there are some things I'm really good and I could probably fight. But if I'm able to avoid it. So like if I see a Grim Reaper on the road,
You're high-tailing it.
See you later. Turn around and walk away.
And I'm all about, as you can tell or talk about, when we were kids and you'd come to my room and say that there were ghost demons at the end of the hallway or a man is broken in, I was like, grab the little bat and I'm going to kill it.
Yeah. And the thing, it's not Danny strutting with purpose. It's Danny
blowing open the door.
No, not even that.
No.
It's Danny slowly staggering out in his boxers, which again we talked about. Probably scared the poor
thing.
Now that's something we're gonna have to talk about. Night terrors one of these times.
Ooh.
And the idea of also the awake dream, because I have that a lot, which is why I had that quite a bit as a child. Which is why I'm skeptical. I can't think of the name of it.
Dreaming in prison.
No.
Dreaming in prison?
I don't know. I just said that
we'll figure it out and then we'll do a podcast.
But I mean, it was one of those things that like I just grew up with the knowledge that there were sometimes I woke up and I would see things.
Yeah.
Yeah, but to be honest, I think I'd just flash them.
Again, Josh would be on the news. Oh, you mean just your belly and your...
I thought you were talking like full on, like you would drop trow.
Well, you did.
If you're going to take me, you're taking me now.
I came in this world naked. I'm going out naked.
And
it's just some...
And probably the same reaction. Oh.
It's just some lady going for a walk in like a Snuggie that kind of looks like a robe.
With her little poodle.
You're not going to get me, Grim Reaper.
No, what they say is like, man or woman? It would be Yeah.
So, in other words,
So
don't go outside.
I was going to say,
You could start something, and my brothers, for some reason, would just strip naked and start following you.
Don't break in our homes.
yeah,
If you're like a crazy fan that stalks us, don't try to come inside.
you're not going to enjoy what you see. Like, it's not going to be something fun for you.
I'm probably gonna fart. Like
Seriously. All right, final thoughts, gentlemen. Let's start with Jake. What's your final thoughts, Jake, on the talk of Grim Reapers?
You know, as I've looked at it and as I studied this week, it was interesting because I just kind of kept thinking about it, and I really, really, really would kick the knees out because I really think that would get me at least going somewhere.
Can't catch me.
Yep. And then I almost swore. I've been good. But no, I mean, it's just that thought of it being a skeleton. There's some fear behind it, but
It is kind of comical.
It's feeble. What is?
Yeah.
I mean, you reach through and you accidentally touch the other rib cage. You just pull a rib cage out. He's gonna collapse.
man, woman, man, woman.
Oh, man.
So, in other words, don't go outside. I have emphasized this over and over and over again. And anytime you go outside, it's your fault. I'm sorry. If you come across a Grim Reaper, I'm sorry. If you see Josh running butt naked after an old lady in a Snuggie, I'm sorry. We tried to warn you.
I don't think I'm not gonna top that. I will say that the personification of death is a very fascinating thing that humans do. We so want death to be something more than what it actually is. You know, the absence of life I think that we kind of create stories that are both comforting and scary to us. And it's just kind of the human, this has kind of turned into a little bit more of a human condition for me, because it's one of those things where I have to think to myself, what is my personification of death? What do I see death
What
as?
is your personification of death, Danny?
Loved ones coming and gently taking me to the afterlife.
Oh.
Or like something like,
Now you done it.
yeah, seriously, that's exactly. Or yelling at me repeatedly of all the mistakes that I've made. And I'll be like, Grandma, you weren't supposed to see that.
I told you I'd pull you up from hell with your ears.
She did. She literally did say
Yeah,
that.
she did.
Yeah.
To all of us.
So, to echo what Jake says, don't go outside, I guess. I don't know.
Josh, naked. Don't do it.
Okay, Josh, you get the final word. It's
First,
your
I'd
topic.
like to apologize to my wife. I'm sorry you have to see that often.
Great. Now we're going to have to edit that out, too.
Seriously, thanks, Josh.
But I'm actually going to get really morbid for a second.
Okay.
Oh, no.
And really serious.
Oh, dear.
So, as I was researching for this, a lot of people are like, oh, it's just the personification of death. Well, a lot of people don't realize is the Black Death, though it took you quickly, it also made it so you couldn't eat. And therefore you would starve. And I've watched a lot of documentaries of different catastrophes throughout the world where they would starve and they literally look like skeletons. So, what the person that I was reading said is that this personification of death wasn't necessarily a personification, but it was actual people who were probably starving during the Black Death, who had clothed themselves in clothes or something that was a lot bigger than they were because they were, emaciated, and would come in, and the reason that they were called the personification of death is because they would bring the death with them.
Oh.
And they would cause the people to die later on because they had the plague.
Wonderful final thought.
Thanks, Josh.
My thought is, it's real.
So
I
wait, what
believe
would be, so our personification of death, if that's the case, is, let's see, Ronald McDonald.
Ronald McDonald's just coming at you.
He comes in, feeds me hamburgers, I have a heart attack, and I die. if it's based off of that.
If we're going to go based off of that, I have a little redheaded girl with pigtails that's going to come in and go
Oh, that's
like,
even creepier.
yeah,
I have
with
5 guys.
a smile.
That or it's going to be a little chihuahua.
No, mine's 5 guys with fries.
Oh my! If we're being very serious, then mine is a Little Caesar.
That's true. Mine would be Little Caesar too.
What's his catchphrase? The
Pizza.
pizza. Oh, there you go.
No, mine would probably be Lucky Charms.
They're
Or-
magically delicious.
All the Fruity Pebble stars.
The Flintstones.
Barney, my pebble.
No, I actually really enjoyed researching about this, and I've realized that I believe it.
Of course you do. So next you hear from us listeners, Josh will have seen the Grim Reaper.
And it will probably be my wife dressed up as a skeleton and stuff.
He will have
And
flashed
she
the
will-
Green Reaper.
The Green Reaper.
The Grim Reaper.
He decided to go green.
It will be green around the gills after Josh flashes them. Yeah.
There is no kills.
There is no kids.
Jeez,
With
Dan.
that, we come to the end. Thank you so much for listening to the Twaddling Along podcast. As always, follow us on the socials, listen to us, subscribe to us, leave us comments. We actually did get a comment just barely giving an actually really good episode idea that I think that I'm probably
Who was
going
it?
to-
Shout out.
No shout outs yet.
Oh.
Maybe someday. I want the shout outs to happen when we actually do the episode.
When is the episode going to be able to take place?
Probably within about the next 2 months, I think, is probably what will happen. So we'll do the shout out when it does happen. If you do have any ideas for
We need them. I
us,
came up with this on the fly and it was crap. So let's be honest.
please reach out to us. Leave a comment on any of our social medias under the episode posts. Email us at emails@twaddlingalong.com and just, love us. We just need love, people.
And if you do see us naked outside, call the cops. We need to go to psych ward, something like that. If you see Jake naked outside,
Something's gone horribly
something's
wrong.
gone really, really bad.
He'll have his
Or
socks on at least, so.
Hey,
maybe some sandals
and
with it too.
my sneakers, not sandals. We don't believe in that
Oh
stuff.
yeah, the white dad sandals.
Oh, can you imagine? Socks with flip-flops.
Oh dear.
That would be
My
atrocious.
personification of death.
You would know it was really bad. And that would
Wait.
So
all the sumo wrestlers who wear socks, that's Danny's
My
personification.
personification of death.
So
Thank you all. We will see you next week when we are doing the human condition.
brought to you by Danny.
Me. Yeah. It's going to be a fun one, I think.
I thought Little Caesars.
Right.
Pizza.
Little
Pizza.
Caesars, the personification of death.
I just need to make sure I don't draw Josh naked because
Look for our art this week.
it's going to be an anatomy lesson, and I don't want to do that.
Man or woman.